Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us at Worldwide Health Staff Solutions. My name is Amy Carr. I'm the Vice President of Recruiting here at Worldwide. And today we are joined by Victoria and Jasper Yap for a webinar about mastering your money. And we hear questions about this all the time. So we are so thankful that we have some folks with us today that have gone through this experience and have some really great tips to give us. Also today, please make sure to leave us a comment and tell us where you're from, what country you're watching from. And we'd also love to answer your questions. So we're going to turn it over to Jasper and Victoria, but as soon as they are finished, we will be happy to take your questions live. So make sure to leave them in the chat for us. Thank you again, Victoria and Jasper, and over to you.
All right. Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Liz. I think when we've met each other in the last PNA event in Asheville, I think it is a divine intervention that will make it happen. We knew a lot of new young nurses around in the Triangle area here in Durham, North Carolina, and I know how nerve wracking it is to start a new U.S. career for that matter. So, thank you also for the opportunity. So, I'm gonna get started. Mastering your money. When you start a US career life. I know, but before that, we're gonna bring you to our journey to our American dream. Just like you, we started young, and or to any people in their walks of life. When we start from zero. We start from scratch. So we next slide, please, Tracy. Anyway, we're gonna get you back to our why and goal. I think overall, the main reason why we wanna venture into living into a different, entire new place is we have to have some solid why and goals in life. And for us, it's all about the family. It's all about, the giving back to the parents that have raised us, our family in the Philippines. And if you see, we highlighted our very own family, our parents, the family that we built, and also the goals that we want to offer to our family, and that is to travel with them. Because when we growing up in the Philippines, we were not privileged enough to experience the travels with our family. So that's one of our why and the main goals. And of course, our passion work, to the community, our service, volunteerism. It's our way of giving back into a bigger family. And that's part of this bigger family too, worldwide, reaching out, giving back. As nurses, healthcare providers, we are all service oriented people, and we just want to share bits and pieces of what we have learned, what we have experienced, the mistakes that we went through, so that you will learn it from us. Next slide, please. So, when you going back almost 24 years ago, I came here just like anyone else. I was a prom D from Cebu. I arrived here in 2000. And if we cut it down to the first 3 years of your life when you start, it's going to be really overwhelming. Starting even passing the NCLEX, going through the immigration process, and then here you are, you're ready to fly, right? But what comes with it is really a mix of emotion, of your anxiety, your anticipation, your aspirations. But we have noble ambitions to really elevate our life and start a new life. So here we are. And then the relocation process begins. You got to be mindful that it's all going to be about being shocked with the new culture, the food, the weather. If you're like from the Northeast or the Midwest, where snow and extreme temperatures, it's already nerve wracking to say, oh my goodness, there's so many things you need to adjust. Professional challenges. The American way of nursing practice is so different. You got to know how to speak for yourself. You got to develop the, especially the communication skills. So, and then comes in the isolation, the homesickness, because this is total, you're going to be uprooted from your life, from where you are, parts of the country. It's going to be totally different. And then comes next the realization of financial impacts, starting a family, bringing your family, the kids, um, paying off debts, the financial restraints that you have to go through in order to finish all your immigration process. You need to have some basic commodities like having a car, or where to find rental properties, or even going through the home buying process. So this happens in 1 to 3 years of your life. So there's a lot of information to absorb. Where do you start? Who are the people that you need to hang out with? So, but know that in the first 3 years of your life, understand that this is not the home run yet. Okay. Having a job or having all the basic um, necessities cover, that know that this is a journey and you have to continue learning and growing. Next slide, please. So for the next 3 to 5 years of your life here in America, then the settling begins. At least you get more comfortable with the professional practice. You can now start setting your priorities with family settling in. You have adjusted. You're not as homesick as the first time you got here, because you have built friends, you have been part of communities, and slowly adapting to the American culture has set in. So the lifestyle and the financial habits. So let me just simplify it from the good and the bad experiences. So the good is you will realize that the opportunities are limitless, because um, it's the American dream, right? You will realize that you have so many opportunities. You can pick up a second job, you can pick up even side hustles, and and you're going to be hanging out with people that can influence you in a positive way. You can advance your studies from BSN to MSN to even PhDs, and then you will have the opportunity to set aside some money for your retirement, or venture into opportunities where you can invest. Now, the bad is part, if you are not mindful of your expenses, debt can also accrue, especially if you're influenced by consumerism. You are something new to you that you can amass such financial income, but you also tend to spend, right? Because you know that you will always have a job. You can always pick up a part time, which is good, but you also want to make sure that you discipline yourself from spending your money. The you tend to not budget your money, meaning you don't know where your money's going, because it's such a comfortable life to just work, 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 work. But then you also fail to see that you also spend, 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 spend. So you gotta have to have that sense of balance. YOLO. I know this is familiar to the new generation. You only live once. True, you only live once, but you also want to make sure that you spend responsibly, because you only live once. But then you have to have a mindset that you're in it for the long haul. You know, um, you want to make sure that you will see yourself retiring early. So you gotta spend some money to save and invest it so that the money will work for you. Lack of financial literacy. I know for us, most Filipinos, money is never taught or widely for us. Part of our culture is we just don't talk about money other than we gotta help our family members back home, or we gotta help the people that depend on us. So what I've learned from hanging out or through podcasts and books, there's tons of value in um, making sure that you educate yourself financially, because it will go a long way if you have the basic education of you're not just earning, but you're also keeping some in order to use that money for you. So it's not how much you earn, but it's how much you keep from your earning, because at the end of the day, you also want to make sure that you have some left for your family, for your personal, and for your retirement. Next slide, please. All right, I'm gonna hand you over to my better half, Jasper, to go over with the rest of the slides.
Thank you. So to continue what she had, talk about, probably you notice why both of us are here, like doing this webinar, as a couple. One thing I really learned, like going through with this financial tips, one thing is um, before, when we don't have or we didn't seek out any financial literacy, we'd like to spend on our own. Like I have my own thing because now I'm earning money and I like to spend, for my own, and she like to spend on her own. We don't talk about our, finances, our whatever we have accumulated debts until such time when we talk about, what you have spent or what I have spent, it boils down to like, a fight. So it's like you're hiding from somebody that you don't want to share what you have spent, to a point where it really affects your relationship as a couple and in general as a family. So one thing we really learn is that going through this, some of this, what do you call this, going through the financial tips, is that if you both work together, like what we have learned from the Financial Peace University with Dave Ramsey. Imagine if just one horse just pulling one item, let's say 5,000 pounds. But if both of you are doing it at the same time, you could do double or triple or quadruple that pull that you can get. So seek financial literacy through what? Mentorship, community support, and really before we came here, we don't know anything. So the reason why when they ask us to do this, we kind of like say yeah, of course, because basically what we're doing on the side is we're telling people not to do the things that we have done in the past, where maybe some were not able to get back on their feet. The reason I said that is because there's like a lot of people just spending too much on what they have earned. Yes, they would say, yeah, I can do overtime here, overtime there, but the mind tells you like the more you do that, the more you're gonna spend, and still you are really behind. And by the time that it's time to retire, you'll be like looking at your retirement and you would see, I don't see anything here, and it's because you have already drank them or ate them. What I meant with that is that like all throughout your years, you have been drinking coffee here and there, eating out, all of this. I'm not saying it's not good, but I'm just saying that you have to dictate where your money goes. So, yes, I earn, save, and invest. And this concept before we didn't know anything about, and through education, through learning, like listening to several podcasts, reading books. I'm not really a good reader. Victoria is, she likes to read. And I said, just tell me what you have read and learned. And of course, she would not remember and tell me. So I would have to seek it out for myself until one day we went into this boot camp with multifamily, and they really, whoever was doing all this, the speakers at that time, they kind of like inspire everyone to really do your best. And at that time they were giving out books. So honestly, that's the time I was able to like read books regarding all this, and it really interests me. So before I was just reading about all these um, technology stuff, nothing about like nursing. But really, what we're doing here is we're nurses by day, and some other days we're doing the other side hustles. So you have to like, when you earn, you have to save and invest. We can't stress enough, because over the years, like I said, we have accumulated so much that we're to a point where we didn't know we have already promoted with our jobs, we have earned this and that, but we're not really moving forward. And that's because of all these credit cards that's really, um, pulling us down. We didn't even know until we put like action to it. So when we attended the FPU at that time, because it really helps us a lot. So we gave back to the community by doing the webinar, or not webinar, but the actual class itself in the church. So we were able to do that just to give back to them. And the goal is hopefully that we can help them transform their habits into like good habits, to help them. There's no such thing as you are already late. If let's say you would say like, oh, I'm too old to go to America to work and earn. No, there's no such thing as that. It's all set up with your mindset to really, if you want to achieve what you want, you can do it. um Budgeting is one thing that we really have learned a lot during that time when we were doing this process of eliminating all our debts. Budget is the key. We did What we did with that is we put it into action, meaning we downloaded some app between me and Victoria, and then we have like family meetings with the kids when we were doing and tackling all of this. And the first thing that our kid was telling us was like, so does that mean that we can't go eat Chick-fil-A after church, like they always used to? But then, and I said, yeah, of course we can still do that, but we just have to put it all in the budget. And of course, in the church, they would say, oh, I don't have anything to give out to the church or to the poor. And it's because you have already spent out with so much other than that part. So someone advises like, so the best thing is really just tilt that budget, or the expenses that you are going to be spending, did it upside down, so that the tithing would be going first to the church, and then the rest goes on. um, you have to live below your means. At that time, when we were going through that mentorship, they were saying that um, below your means, right? Because here the normal is you always spend and spend and spend. Just like with our kids, we don't want them to go into that. So we have to live in an abnormal life. Same thing with our kids, and we're just so lucky during that time. They were like a sponge, and during those budget meeting that we have with our family, it really inculcated in their mind, you know, the importance of doing it. And the good thing is they were still young at that time, and now we have a college, and two is going to be going in college, and we have three kids, by the way. And the reason why we got into all of this is because of them, the family, like Victoria mentioned earlier. And then once we started like eliminating all of that debts, it opens up a lot of opportunity, because now when you look at your pocket, you look at your bank, you have all this money. It's not going anywhere, right? Before, it's just okay to just give out all this interest that you're paying for all these other banks, and not realizing those interests can be your money too, which you can use for your own advantage to work for you. The reason I said that is, you know, you can invest that into like stocks, real estate, whatever it is that you can bring money to your pocket. They said in real estate that you cannot really call an asset if it doesn't bring you any money in your pocket. Like our own houses here, it's not considered as an investment, because you continue, if you're paying mortgage in your house, that means it's considered as a liability, because it continues to bring out money out of your pocket. You have to think of something that will bring money in your pocket, so that you can refer it as an investment. So the goal where I'm talking about this is because you always want to be financially independent one day, right? We can retire early. So with all of this being said, we put here create your vision board. We never had any vision board before. And through all this seeking out, learning through the platforms that we have mentioned earlier, one thing that really resonates us is like creating that vision board. And we did actually create our vision board. Little did we know, we almost like achieved most of the stuff that we have put in our vision board. Is because it's written there. It's, you can see it, you can view it, um, and then it reminds you every day to continue pursuing. um, like so many experiences from other successful uh, individuals here that we ought to follow. But then I know with all this multi, what do you call this, like the social media, we only hear, see all those successes, but in every of those success there's always like struggles, there's always like difficulties. It's not always going to be a good time. And then if you can endure all of that, pretty much you can be successful in your life. Next slide, please. So now, once you have all of this, set in stone with, setting up your goals, your vision board, now you go into this, we call it journey to the life of abundance, and maintain that growth mindset. What I meant with that is that for a person, a human being, it's normal for us to, like, if we try to achieve one thing, we are so pumped up and hyped up that we want to do that, right? And then by the time you get that, it's just kind of like mellows down, and you don't want to do anything anymore. Then you become going downhill. But you have to keep going and continue um, that force, so to achieve your dream. Yes, we work hard, and pretty much like in our culture, especially when we are in a foreign country, one thing we can really offer is our work habits. That's why I guess they like us Filipinos, because of our work habits. And
Or
that is
immigrants for that
something,
matter,
yeah.
from
And that is
different
something that
parts
you
of the
have to
world.
be proud of yourself, because that's what they're looking up to us. And we stand by that. So be a lifelong learner, get out of your comfort zone. When we say get out of your comfort zone, it's very typical, for Filipinos particularly. I'm talking about like the Filipinos, because we're Filipino. I know there's other um, who are listening here, and I don't know, in your culture, but in our culture, when we are comfortable, we just want to stay here because we don't want to complicate things, and we just don't want to, we just want to play safe. But if you keep doing that, you're not really grow to the maximum potential that you can be. You're not. you're not gonna know what you can do if you don't open up yourself with all this. If you don't get out of this comfort zone, and that's basically what we did. Um, and then, of course, we have attended when I mentioned about this Financial Peace University with Dave Ramsey. He always said, he always keeps saying that live and give like no one else. Give more so you can live like no one else. I didn't really understand what he meant with that when I was like doing this seminar before. And then it's come to realize that, yes, it's our nature for us Filipino to help our families back home. And yes, we did help out a lot, like back home, you know, like help out my other uh, siblings, my nephews and nieces that we send out to school, and so many other things. Yes, it's engraved in our nature to help, but the thing is, if you don't have that money to help, how can you help, right? So instead, you have to work. You have to do something, to get to that point where you can give, live and give like no one else. And the reason I said that is when you have already invested and journey of this life of abundance out there, you can potentially like help out so many people that you wanted to help just by being, focused on what you're doing. um Let me see. So um yeah, really, it's not, I know it's too much to absorb right now what we're doing, and it's not to like, what do you call this, it's actually to inspire everyone who are here present, what you can potentially do when you're up here if you continue and focus on your goal. um right now we are nurses by day, like I said, but we do also real estate as our platform of form of investments. We also do some stocks. Currently we're doing rentals in the community. And why we got into this is because we think of something like how we can help our kids to go out to college. So instead of like putting up money for their school, like for college and savings, there's this 529 plan here. We didn't go that route because there's so much limit that you can do with that. So we leverage on doing other things really just for them. And then of course we didn't know when we are already into that world that there's actually more out there, the abundance, law of abundance, which we don't have that before. So and then the recent journey that we had is we are venturing into a multifamily space, which is like the whole apartment complex. We're not advertising ourselves here, but our goal is really to help everyone to achieve their goal, and hoping one day, you will get there as well. And next slide, please. Then that would be our end of this webinar. So how you can reach us, we have put in our contact numbers there. There is a QR code, which you can directly save it to your phone if you need to for future reference. And again, we thank you for joining us this morning, and I hope that you have learned something from us. And feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a great presentation. And I think so many good things for everyone who has joined us today. We're so thankful that you've joined us, but also know that you're going to be able to go back and rewatch this. It sounds like from Victoria and Jasper that this is a journey and it happens in pieces. And I think one thing about financial wellness and prosperity is the little steps matter. And you don't go from coming to a new country to having everything you want all at one time. So this may be something that you may want to revisit along the way, because you'll probably see new tips as you go through different phases. Um, last chance for anybody who's joined us to ask questions in the chat. While we have Victoria and Jasper here live, there was a question about a case manager, and I put my email address in the chat. If you have a case manager issue, please email me, and I will make sure that we are able to solve it. I will get with our case management leadership to solve whatever problems that you have. Okay, I think for Victoria and Jasper, and some of this you covered, but just some points in time. When you came to the US, what is the biggest thing that surprised you about financials? Anything from taxes to how stuff works in the US? What was the biggest surprise to you?
Um, well, to me, it's not hard to earn money. But what surprised me is if you not intentional in monitoring your finances in general, it can all be washed out so quickly as well. Once, I mean, because you are so comfortable with just, I'm always going to have a job, I can always pick up overtime. That's not the question of earning money. And, we are hard workers. It's money earning is accessible, it's limitless. But if you don't really put a mindful practice of monitoring your outflow, you can wash it out so quickly as well.
Like in anything, even like you can get things. It can be food delivery.
Yeah.
It could be Amazon.
Yes.
You could go to the mall. There's so many different
and
ways that
and
you can spend all your money.
that habit of spending mindlessly, coffee or Uber or food delivery, as opposed to making your own meals at home and packing them for lunch. Those habits grow into bigger impact that, oh, where is my money? And at one point, really, when Jasper said, we got increases, annual increases, we got bonuses, but how come we felt like we're not moving up in terms of what's moving up is our credit card debts. And
Yeah,
we are not numbers people, we are nurses, right? So yeah, and up until we really managed to, okay, let's put a pause on our lives right now. Are we going to continue this just spending and not minding what we have accumulated? And that's the turnaround that we were able to knock down our debts. We were leveraging some of our financial resources, and then we started investing. And that's sort of like my game changer.
yeah. Jasper, what would you add to that?
The surprise, um well, like I
Yeah,
mentioned earlier, the budgeting part, somehow we got trained with that because we never dictate where our money goes. We just like to spend and spend and spend, um until such time when we are doing that, it really tells you like, oh, this is where we spent so much, and then you can adjust, and then it will be engraved in your life. On You become so much aware of the things that you spend, and spend it wisely, like to the you know like meaningful uh spending. Before, one thing that we really like with the abundance now is that we could not give, um like, the way we wanted to help, you know like, without even thinking, like, we don't have any money or something to share, so we could just like give out and help, like, just like that. And it's just so, nice that we were able, like, it may be in the church, maybe someone who's really like in need, and we continue doing that even with with now that we're especially with we are what we are doing in the community as well, that keeps us grounded because you can easily be swayed with so much things that's going on around the world. So um yeah, really just stay focused and keep dreaming and pursuing and put actions to what you are actually trying to achieve and do work.
And these are good tips for people who are from the U.S. too. Like if you're when you, I think one of the things when you move to the U.S. Um, sometimes you pick up the bad habits of the people who live here already. And
Yes.
I think that we that's as a country, there's a lot of people who don't budget. And there's a lot of people who put things on credit, and so all of these tips are they're really great and so important for moving here, but also good for people who live here. Um, because everybody needs good financial habits. So I think that that's a good thing. Um, someone asked in the chat about buying a car when you first get to the U.S. Uh, at Worldwide, we have resources also to help you. We work with a couple of companies. One that does new cars and helps finance that without a U.S. credit history. One that helps with used cars. Um, but I think for Victoria and Jasper, what would you tell people about buying your first car in the U.S.?
Okay. Okay, so in relation to the newcomer here, I know it's always our dream to own a car. You know, coming from where we at, I don't know if for me, I'm just on reference on us like in the Philippines. The only thing that really value there is like material things, cell phones, right? The cell phones are so expensive, but then we try to save up money for the cell phones. With the car is like something that we are not able to achieve because that's too way up there. But when you come into the US, the first thing probably you'll be thinking like, oh, I need a car. And the thought that you said I needed a car is not something that is really a necessity, right? So maybe from where you live at, there's always like a public transportation that you can use. You don't really need the car per se. But for us here, where we at in North Carolina, there's no jeepneys or there's taxis, there's Uber, but I would not sort to that type of thing because that is really expensive. So the other way really is to get a car. So when we say about cars, it doesn't have to be like a brand new car. A used car would be a good one to get accustomed to the driving in the US. Plus, you pay less taxes because yes, I said taxes because you pay taxes to own a car, and then you pay insurance. Insurance number one. So the cost of the car that you're gonna be paying is number one. The insurance that you're gonna be paying is number two, and the tax. The insurance that you're gonna be paying because you're a new driver in the US. Although if you are an old driver back home where you at, you've driven like 20 years of your life, when you come into the US, you're a newbie. You're a new driver, which means you're gonna pay a hefty amount of that insurance. People doesn't factor that in when they come in here. Imagine if you buy a new car, how much taxes you're gonna pay for that? You'll be shocked. How much insurance you will be added to that? You'll be shocked. But then, of course, it's really your mindset. If you ask us, what we did before is really bad. That's why we're just giving you these tips. Yes, you can get those brand new cars if you prefer, but just you know just be mindful on those other things that are more important. If this is something necessity that you really need to get you from point one to point B, then yes, but doesn't have to be like a Porsche or Lexus or whatever that you can show off to friends, right? No, just stay like beyond, like I said, beyond. Don't go beyond your means when you come here, and you can go far in less than time than those other people have been doing it.
And just to prove a point and add to what Jasper said, even people, the millionaires from Millionaires Next Door book that I read, um, they don't buy luxury cars or brand new cars.
Hmm.
They buy used cars but dependable brand, because they always see the value of, a vehicle that brings value to them, not that they're adding mortgage after mortgage of a luxury car that you're just paying to impress people. I'm not
Yeah.
saying anything against for those who want a luxury car, but I'm just stating to you facts that even millionaires don't buy luxury branded cars.
And to add
Well,
that,
and
we're still driving our old car, like the first car that we bought. By the time when we are able to afford a brand new car, which is a 2002 car, we're still using it up to now. My son is using it for his school, and imagine how many years is that car now, and we're still using it. The second car, which is a 2006 that we bought a brand new, we're still using it even up to now. I mean, you don't really need to spend all of this money. Just like I said, like I mentioned, if it's brings money out of your pocket, that's liability. So, and again, you have to be mindful on your spending. We have more houses than
well,
cars,
and
by the
even
way.
well, that's because they're properties. That's good. They bring you revenue. Cars only depreciate, right?
Exactly.
I'm probably not supposed to talk about this, but even Sir Ron Hoppy, who is our CEO and founder, um, he drives a new or a used car. It's a Nissan Sentra. And I have been driving for longer than I would like to admit on this car, but I haven't the first time I ever had a new car, I bought it in 2021. And I bought that new car because it was less expensive than some of the other used cars at that time. I've always never ever bought a new car before then because they're just so expensive. That's a great tip. Okay, I think that we've answered all of the questions. I don't know if y'all have been able to see that there's a comment from Gladdy about just how important these sort of conversations are, and sometimes it's hard to talk about money and ask these sorts of questions. So thank y'all for being open to talking about it. Before we get your final thoughts, just a couple of things from Worldwide. Please make sure to like us and follow us on Facebook and all of our social platforms, Instagram, YouTube, so that you make sure that you get all the great updates and invites to wonderful webinars just like this one. And then also, if you know someone that you would like to come with you on this journey, refer a friend. This is a great way to start generating income to save up for your U.S. journey. But every time you refer a friend to us and they get a petition filed, we will you can earn up to $250 per person. So again, thank you to Victoria and Jasper. What great information. What would your final thoughts be that you would like to leave with this audience?
If there's three things: earn, save, invest. That's all. You earn as you work hard, you save responsibly, and then invest. Make your money work for you, not work till you can. Because mind you, it's the compounding effects are real when you start investing. So always have that mindset.
And disclaimer, don't take our word, what we have said here. It all comes with experience. And I always recommend everyone to do your own research as well, do some readings. Um, I know social media is always like available out there, but not everyone out there is true to what they are sharing. So, and again, like I mentioned, this is also it's like a social media platform as well, and we're just sharing based on our experience, but we are not an expert, as they say here, like master whatever at the beginning. But we're just really just trying to share with you some tips which you could do better than what we have done when we first came here. And that's our goal, really, to get you to that direction, instead of I mean, it's really easy for us to say like we're not gonna share this, but we have learned so much that there's always this law of abundance. The more you share, the more it will go back to you.
Yeah, and you can just tell from hearing from Victoria and Jasper that this is a passion project for them. So thank you both for your time today. We appreciate you. We appreciate you sharing your journey and tips with everybody else. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. We wish you a good evening or afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. Thank you so much, everybody.
Good luck on
Thanks.
your
Bye.
journey.